Hello, EKN Nation, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Karting. It is December 7th, 2022, and we are taping episode number 54 here in the mobile ekartingnews.com offices of myself, David Cole, and also Nate Dean in Minnesota, as we are providing you with all the major news that hit the EKN homepage over the past week. Our last episode was episode number 53 a week ago, November 30th, 2022, last Wednesday. So we're keeping a Wednesday theme going as we try to wrap up the 2022 season. Again, This Week in Karting, perfect for listening on the way home or the way to work or coming home from work or heading to the racetrack, even though it's December and not a lot of us are heading to the racetrack, unfortunately. But again, anywhere you are, again, you can listen here on the eKarting News radio network, or also via podcast when this show becomes available to download and listen to at any time or anywhere that you may be. This episode, again, presented by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. Well, Nate, Rob was one of those drivers who took advantage of getting ready for a big race by training with Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Have you ever done any type of schooling when you first got into the sport of karting?
I didn't too much. It was just more of a one-on-one thing with people around the track. Never got into any racing schools or anything like Alan Rudolph, what he has going on.
Yeah, I've watched Alan race many times when I first started with ekartingnews.com. And so I've seen the way he conducts himself both on and off the racetrack. And I really am looking forward to more of that breakdown that Rob has of his days there, or his one day at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, working with Alan Rudolph at Speed Sports. So excited to see that. Hopefully that'll be coming soon. I know Rob's been working really hard on getting those final editions of Drive to 25 columns completed. So hopefully we'll get more info and insight on that in the coming days or weeks. But for now, let's talk about some of the news that has been on the eKarting News homepage. And among them are things that are looking ahead to the 2023 season just around the corner. One of them being rules updates for the Cup Karts North America program, the Briggs and Stratton 206 program. They've updated both the USA format and categories and also the Canadian side of their rule structure. Looking at the US side of things, it's really kind of a split. They're taking their sportsman division, which was just one category for drivers of the ages of 8 to 12, and now they've separated it. So very similar to what we've seen on the national level and two-cycle racing with micro and mini. We now have a cadet division, which will be 8 to 10 years old, and a sportsman division for 10 to 13 years. Nate, that's kind of been the theme across the country in terms of, 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. There's a lot of difference there. I think this is kind of a good move for Cup Karts in terms of looking at the future and the way they've grown in this category.
Yeah, I think so. And all the other major racing series that are in the US have kind of switched to this format. So obviously it's working for them. It would make sense for Cup Karts to do that. And I know Jasperson, Vermeer, and their entire team at Cup Karts will be working throughout the winter. They have a couple more changes that we'll talk about in a sec here. But overall, some good housekeeping items. Just, I wouldn't say fanfare, more or less, just to keep the families and people that run Cup Karts happy, and just some really positive changes.
Yeah, the cadet division is going to be 8 to 10 years old at 245 pounds using the red slide, which is the 0.440 measurement there. Sportsmen will remain the same in terms of using the green slide 490 But they're bumping it up to 275 pounds for 10 to 13-year-olds. I again, this is still that one program in the country where I really wish they would do a true weight survey, because you look at on the grid, I think nearly every single sportsman driver has weight on. I don't know. They I understand them wanting to, keep 13-year-olds in the sportsman division maybe one more year in case they're not ready to move up into the junior ranks. But 275 pounds is a lot. I mean, considering, some of them, weigh about 80 pounds, if that.
Yeah.
So I think that's, again, still kind of my pet peeve in terms of cup karts regarding that. I mean, you're a skinny guy as well too. I mean, you got to add a lot of weight to make light or medium.
Yeah. I mean, it's annoying when you walk down a grid and you start looking at the back of people's seats and every single person has weight on, and you start to question why can't we just lower this a little bit? But I totally understand your pet peeve, and I've been in that situation, but I think you bring up a good point with trying to keep them in the class for another year. Maybe that's the reasoning behind it, but I don't know. For most series, there are bigger issues to tackle than should we go up or down 5 pounds in this certain class. And I think, again, looking at the list of rule updates from CKNA, they've obviously been focusing on that instead of the smaller things. So that's good to see. But again, it's one of those things you got to nitpick.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to do that till I see weights lowered. That's my deal. In terms of Canada side, they'll change cadet age to 8 to 11 years old to kind of align up with the U.S. rules. They still run the junior light program, which is kind of what Sportsman is up in Canada, and then also the junior program for, I believe it's 13 to 15 years old. Excuse me. They are adding a Legends category. So we saw a number of Canadians come down and run Legends at the Cup Karts North America Grand National 6 at Newcastle. So they're adding it now to the Canada division. So that'll be a great addition to that program, along with making the transition to the Vega VAH tire. So the same tire we run here in the USA will now be the tire used in Canada. So again, there's still that transition of mending, the Canada rules and structures and our US structures and blending them so that way it's kind of a 1-to-1 ratio where everything's the same in US as it compares to Canada. Hopefully, in a way, I think it's pretty much there. A lot of differences, but there are still a few differences between the two, but not very many. And as you said, Nate, not a lot of things that just stand out. Aside from maybe the weight, because I think they still use the metric system up there.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, it's just one of those things with consistency, and I think they talked a lot about that, of trying to merge those two rule packages when we were down there at Grand Nats at Newcastle, of them just trying to, the first year, a lot of the Canadians had to change a fair bit in terms of the technical regulations on the karts, but just trying to get one large rule package for Canada, North, South national racing is only going to benefit them.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people use the Cup Karts North America rule structure for their club races and et cetera. So there's a lot to encompass when building a rule structure. It's definitely not an easy work. We've seen it with WK, IKF, SCUSA, Rotax, all the other programs, Rock Cup USA that are used, if not throughout the nation, throughout North America as well. So a lot to tackle there. Including in the 2023 updates, we got confirmation that the Xtream Rock Island Grand Prix is going to return for next season. It'll be same Labor Day weekend that we are accustomed to. So it'll be on September 2nd through the 3rd, 2023. This will be the 28th edition of the Rock Island Grand Prix. And hopefully, Nate, this year, you'll be able to head down and check that out for the first time.
Yeah, should be fun to go to Rock Island for the first time. Heard a few changes for this year, but get into that in a sec. It should be fun. It's one of those races that every karter should at least go to once to just experience it or race it. So definitely looking forward to that this September.
Yeah, I'm not sure what changes will be made for this year in terms of class structure or format. That'll obviously come as we get closer to the event. They'll still continue to work with USAC in terms of getting the FIA recognition. So any drivers anywhere in North America or around the world can compete at the Rock Island Grand Prix. And they'll continue to work with the National Karting Alliance in terms of rule structures and insurance as well, too. One of the big major things about the 2023 edition may be the city reconstruction that is going on. They're doing a lot of road repairs across the entire course. So that, again, we're now getting into the winter months. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any photos of any repair work being done to the roads there on social media or anything like that from Rock Island or from the city of Rock Island as well. But I'm sure once we get into, say, March or April, that's when we'll start to take notice of things being done. We know a lot of new buildings are being constructed in the area, right there in the paddock area, just outside the paddock area. Some parking structures being redone as well, too, near the host hotel of the Holiday Inn. So a lot of stuff going on down in Rock Island, the city of Rock Island, Illinois, and excited to see what comes about that. And again, ECAN will be returning once again for Trackside Live streaming and coverage throughout the weekend in 2023. So again, hopefully it won't just be me this year and you'll be down there this year, taking in what is, I don't think, have you ever been to any street race before?
I haven't, no.
So this will be, aside from Supernats, which essentially is a parking lot event, this is a true street race where you're out on the city streets racing and, sidewalks, covered with fences and spectators all across, Supernats, you have some spectators, but not the outliers that are just regular city citizens taking in an event that's going on in their own city. It's something unique, and it's not what it used to be. I will say that. I'll start preface by that. Because I still get texts from people who used to go back in the early 2000s. Hey, is the Travolta still playing, or is this still going? I'm like, no, it's not quite that. It's still a crazy event, and the racing. I tell you, you get used to seeing the karts throughout the entire lap, and to wait for them to come around. That I think, Nate, is probably the more unique aspects of street racing.
Yeah, for sure. Usually you have a pretty clear line of sight at whatever track you go to, whether that be a traditional like Newcastle or GoPro, or the parking lot races like Rock Vegas or Supernats. So it should be a little weird and interesting to wait to see karts come around.
It is. And listening to Rob, announce the event, it's so crazy because, as you know, with temporary circuits hitting the barriers, you can hear those things. That's something we heard a lot at the Super Nationals and other events that had the barriers. So you hear them hit the barriers. You're not sure who hit them. And so you got to wait for, the last couple of seconds for them to come around turn 6, where we are on the front stretch, and see who actually made it through on that lap. So again, love the Rock Island Grand Prix. It's still a bucket list event. You still need to do it if you haven't done it. Even going there is just a fun experience to check it out and see just how crazy we really are to be racing in the city streets, going anywhere between 60 and 80 miles an hour on the city roads. So excited for that to come back. Excited for the Cup Karts North America updates that we just talked about, and now excited to head to our first commercial break. And we'll have more with This Week in Karting after these announcements and sponsor breaks.
With over 35 years of manufacturing experience, Precision Karting Technologies is the leader in American-made components. We produce high-quality products, led by our full line of chromoly and mild steel axles. Metric or imperial, standard or custom, we have what you need. Collars, keys, bearings, we're the source for axle components in the USA. We're not just axles either. At PKT, we can manufacture motor mounts, hubs, brake rotors, and even GoPro mounts. We're also the choice for axle and chassis straightening. We've designed a dedicated table for the sole purpose of straightening and laser aligning your chassis. If needed, we have the capability to cut, replace, and weld portions of your chassis as well. Big crash bent your frame? Send it to us. Broke a spindle yoke off in a wreck? We can replace it. You don't need to toss that expensive frame in the trash bin. We can fix it. We can repair and straighten chassis, and we CNC machine the finest karting products in the country. With over 70 dealers throughout the US and Canada, it's easy to choose PKT. Family owned and operated, proudly made in the USA. PKT. What's in your kart? History, success, family. Those are the three words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. The Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is where out-of-the-box ease and outstanding consistency meet to create legendary races. Briggs & Stratton's history in motorsports dates back to when the first engines came off the assembly line in the early 1900s. Their focus on the grassroots level continues to help build generations of racers. Since 2008, the Briggs & Stratton 206 has gained a following that has the engine powering the largest fields in North American karting today. From the club level and track programs to traveling regional series and national events, Briggs & Stratton competition provides the most exciting racing in the sport. Engineered and hand-built exclusively for racing, every Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is power tested and serialized before it goes in the box. Karters can take that engine straight from the box to their kart and be on the podium at the end of race day. Be sure to follow Briggs & Stratton Racing on Facebook and through @RaceBriggs on Instagram. To learn more about the 206 engine or to find the North American dealer near you, head to BriggsRacing.com. Briggs & Stratton Racing, what powers you?
Welcome back to another edition of This Week in Karting. Again, episode number 54. December 7th, 2022. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean as we're providing you some of the news and insights and topics that have hit the homepage of ekartingnews.com. One of the biggest ones to hit came during the Rotax Grand Finals. We didn't publish it till just recently to kind of let the coverage take care of itself and then bring this topic out into the public. We're going to have Rob Howden at the Rotax Grand Finals, and he was actually going to be there for this introduction and also to learn more about the electronic motors that are being produced by BRP and Rotax. But there at the Rotax Grand Finals in Portugal over Thanksgiving weekend, they introduced the E10 powertrain. So this electric motor is kind of a scale back down version of what they have with the E20 motor. That electric motor that is used for junior and senior competition. That's what we saw. If you watched any of the Rotax Grand Final stuff and you saw the E20 junior and E20 senior categories, those were the engines used. They've now introduced this new E10 power plant that will be kind of geared towards cadet racers, really ages 6 to 9 or 9 to 12, or even recreational, or as we say here in the States, club racers in sprint competition. So it's I almost want to put it as a very similar to what the Briggs 206 is. It's kind of a club electric motor, and will run on 1 or 2 batteries, 7 kilowatts on a single battery, and produce 14 kilowatts with dual batteries. So this is an interesting concept that got a lot of attention on social media when we published, and is still continuing on, Nate, as the days go on. What are your kind of thoughts on this new E10 motor?
Yeah, there's been a lot of, especially on the post we did on Facebook, there's been a lot of talk and comments under that and just overall public discourse of what we think about it. It seems like there's a lot of interest in it, some speculation, but that's going to happen when you bring electric engines into any kind of motorsport. You're going to expect that. I think it should be cool if it makes its way stateside just to see really where it compares both with cost and performance, and is this a viable option for, okay, usually if you just want to go like low horsepower racing, you grab a 206. Could this be an option in the future? Very well could be. Electric karting in the States at a competitive level really hasn't taken off yet, and really worldwide. And I think Rotax is really, really pushing this narrative and trying to get it more mainstream. So I think in the next coming years, it'll be fun to see them come over and what they can do on a performance side of things.
Yeah, it's great development that they continue to do. Again, they're trying to get the karts themselves with the battery and the engine itself lower and lower and lower. They're trying to reduce the weight. And right now they have it at the total weight with a 950 millimeter chassis. So basically a cadet kart, 66 kilograms or 145 pounds with a single battery, or 76 kilograms, 167 pounds with two batteries. So it's a little bit heavier, obviously. I mean, I think my 206 kart was probably about 160 pounds. So for cadet, it's a little bit heavier, obviously, but with the batteries, that's what you get. And I think that's kind of still where the development is coming in, is reducing the size, but also continuing to develop the power and get as much power as possible out of those batteries right now. So what some of the stats they're bringing you or have published is the maximum speed right now with a single battery is 49 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour. With two batteries, it's 62 miles per hour, so 100 kilometers per hour. So it's about 20 minutes driving time, depending on the racetrack. Obviously, the longer the racetrack, the more time you eat up, or elevation as well too. So the more power you're using. They also still have a boost, very similar to what the E20 has, to where it gives you 20% more power for 5 seconds every 45 seconds. So that's an interesting concept as well too, because it has a control panel there, and you're able to kind of boost, kind of very similar to what we see in IndyCar. You know, they push to pass option with electric power plants. So that's interesting. But the one thing I think that kind of stood out to me is the difference between the E10 and the E20 is it's driven by chain. It utilizes a 219 chain. So the engine is not like the E20, to where the E20 connects directly to the axle like a DD2 engine does with Rotax. So that's an interesting thing. It makes it a little bit more dirty. So, you know, when you're thinking about that in terms of, you know, clean, you know, the E20, there's no drivetrain. So it's connected right to the axle. So everything's enclosed, to where now they're using a 219 chain. You know how people love to lube chains up. So that'll be a thing. But speaking, you know, seeing Stephen Chapman with Rotax publish on our post, actually, you know, he says, you know, it doesn't eat up the chain like a lot of the 2-cycle engines would. So it, you know, again, it's all about development, and you have to have a starting point. And I think for cadet racing and electric motors, and maybe, as we said, for club racers, this could be the starting point. And, you know, 5 years from now, this engine could have another version of it, or have a new development based on the way the engine performs, or based on manufacturing of the batteries. I mean, that, you know, we've seen that, how electronics have changed over a decade in terms of what we can do with electronics. So that'll be interesting to see. Are you shocked by the chain drive, or do you think that's just something that's karting specific, and you thought you'd see that with electric motors?
Yeah, it's just one of those things that's kind of karting specific, and you kind of would expect that to be changed over just to appease the audience that is karters across the nation. What I will say though is I know when Top Kart has done, I think, the most in terms of
Yes.
Electric karting in the US, and seeing their early concepts in like 2016 and 17, where the batteries were much bigger than what we see with Rotax here. Yes, Rotax may have a bit more resources, but the technology has come so much further in that time. You're able to get more energy into a smaller space. I think as it is right now, it's maybe still a bit too heavy. It's the same issue you kind of see within the world of motorsports higher up than this, with like ETCR and Formula E, where those cars are just a bit too heavy, and a bit of complaints from the drivers there is not as good to drive. So I think maybe in 5 years, this could be a viable option to do, but I think it will start to get competitive with, like, in terms of weight and people actually seeing this as a real viable option in 10-15 years from now, probably.
Yeah, and also you'll have to think about, how do we charge these
Yes.
engines? That's the other side of it. There wasn't a lot of information in terms of charging units. I know with the E20 program, a lot that goes into charging those engines. So that's still, again, still stuff we're learning. Again, they're still developing. And I think, again, you said it, the battery is going to be probably the focus point of development, and continues to be for Rotax in terms of electric karting. So again, I haven't driven anything. I've never really seen anything. You've seen the Top Kart one. That was one I was going to bring up. And so it still intrigues me. I need to see it in person and kind of be aware of it. But you're right. There's just hasn't been that push in terms of electric karting here, aside from indoor or rental karts. There really hasn't been a push for that. So we'll have to wait and see. But another development moving forward in the karting world is the OKN program that the FIA and CIK introduced. And now they're completing the OKN concept with the OKN Junior engine package. So they developed it. They started with the OKN, which is based for senior racing. Now they have the junior component, which will essentially take the same engines, except exchange the exhaust flange with a 26 millimeter one for junior competition. So we've seen X30 do this. We had restrictor on the exhaust. That was really the only difference between a junior and senior. So OKN and OKN Junior are kind of going to follow that same path in terms of just adjusting the exhaust flange or header. And that'll be interesting to see. Again, they're focused on building a pyramid of national karting, beginning with the mini, going into OKN Junior, OKN, and then KZ2. So that is kind of the focus for FIA moving forward, Nate. And we know some series that are going to run OKN for sure. I'm not sure about the OKN Junior program, but Stars and Challenge of America is going to run OKN for sure. This will be interesting to see. Again, stuff is still being produced, and it's kind of a wait and see on when products start coming into the United States.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, wait and see. A lot. I think the OKN could be successful over here. I think it's coming at a good time where obviously shifter kart racing is booming a bit more, and those higher horsepower karts are starting to get used a bit more, and a lot more people are coming back to that. I think it'll be good, definitely for Europe. I think what the FIA are doing especially with the pyramid and introducing the OKN is definitely going to benefit. The question becomes, what does that do to the American karting scene? Does all of that trickle down from the other side of the pond? It's one of those where they said it a lot in the Rotax story we just talked about, but it's just going to be one of those things where we have to wait and see.
Well, and again, their focus is bringing affordable karting. That's their vision. Yep. They're looking at making this affordable, bringing in multiple manufacturers and reducing race weekends to just 2 days. It's going to be a lot different than what we see on the international level, where we see competitors at a racetrack for 2 weeks testing and testing and testing. They're doing it completely different, to where these events are going to be 2 days maximum. Come in, do your race, and go home. And so that'll be interesting to see. Well, the Italian National Sporting Authority, they're planning to host an event alongside the World Championships in October 2023, utilizing the OKN and the OKN Junior programs. So, and they've also incorporated those categories into their national championship for 2023. So Italy will kind of be the focus. And again, that's where mostly the manufacturers are. Miami is there, Modena, TM Racing, Vortex. Rexon is another manufacturer for the OKN engines. They're based, I believe, in Germany. And I'm not sure where the LKE is, Lenzo Kart. I want to say they're in Italy as well, too. But again, the majority of your manufacturers are right there. So the Italian, the ACI karting is a kind of a no-brainer. It's like, hey, we'll do it. We'll kind of be the guinea pigs for this and go elsewhere with the program to all the other different countries, because their goal is to get it into multiple countries by 2024 and to host the first ever World Cup for the OKN and OKN Junior categories. So again, kind of a wait and see. Again, we'll be sampling the OKN engine at the Challenge in the Americas here in February in Tucson, Arizona. So that'll be kind of our first taste of it, and kind of see where it is on the spectrum in terms of right now in terms of karting, because again, it's kind of a wait and see in terms of what will happen in the future with that program. So, but in the future right now, we do have another commercial break as we head into our second break of the show, This Week in Karting, and we'll have more for you right after this break.
In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. Trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group is an official Kart Republic race team, providing full trackside support at all the major USA karting events, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, SCUSA Super Nationals 25, and other events throughout the 2022 season. TKG has in stock Kart Republic, Miami, MG and Avinco tires, and more products for those in Ohio and the Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history of the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. The ST5 KRT karting helmet is available for $599. Manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material, the KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for the younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision. The perfect youth helmet is available for $549. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva Rib Protector is unlike any on the market, with its form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these and many more products to keep you safe on the track. Stilo. Any competition, one helmet.
Are you ready to go from karts to cars? Since 1975, the Skip Barber Racing School has taken great drivers and made them champions. Today, we're proud to welcome the next generation of winners. Make the transition from karts to cars with the Skip Barber Formula Race Series. You'll compete at the most iconic tracks in America. Race weekends include your very own equalized Formula 4 race car, a professional crew, expert instruction, video and data analysis, hospitality, and more. This is the place to fulfill your dream of becoming a champion. Sign up today by calling 866-932-1949 or visit us at skipbarber.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Karting, episode number 54. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean. It is December 7th, 2022, as we provide you with more insight, news, and topics that are surrounding the sport over the last week. Kind of getting to some more event news that, including schedules that are going to be announced. So events that you can add to your schedule. One of them being the WK announces the 2023 Vega Tires National Road Racing Series schedule. It is going to be a 6-event program for the 2023 season. Everything begins in Daytona. That is essentially the last event of the 2022 calendar, but begins the 2023 season as it always has been for the World Karting Association. So that'll be December 28th through the 30th at Daytona International Speedway. They'll head to Roebling Road on March 3rd through the 5th. New Jersey Motorsports Park, March 31st through April 2nd. Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, June 16th through the 18th. That's the typical Father's Day weekend at Mid-Ohio. The only thing good about Ohio is Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Carolina Motorsports Park on September 1st through the 3rd. So Labor Day weekend there in Kershaw, South Carolina. And then Pittsburgh International Race Complex, the one racetrack I need to head to. It'll be hosting the WK Vega Tires National Road Racing Series on September 22nd through the 24th. Nate, have you ever done road racing?
I haven't. Have you not been to Pittsburgh?
I've been there, but I have not raced on the road course. I was there. I've been there multiple times for obviously karting events at the sprint track. I was actually there. One of my first solo trips with e-karting was to Pittsburgh for, I want to say, the WK Manufacturers Cup Series event. I think Jamie McMurray actually raced that one. He was there with Ron White. They had a big CRG trailer there. And then a couple of years after that, I was actually a board member for WK, if you recall that, board of trustees member. And we did a lap around the extended road course that they have there. And so I've gotten to take a lap in a truck, and that was only at 20, 30 miles an hour, just to kind of see how it was. And I mean, I was floored by the elevation changes that this place has. It's unique. It is very unique. Not quite Laguna, but maybe a green Laguna. I mean, it's almost like that. Yes. But again, it's in the mountains too. So you kind of, not necessarily mountains, but the rolling hills of Pennsylvania. So that it's very unique. It has the original layout was boring, and then they added the second half of this racetrack and made it phenomenal. And so that's the only laps I've done. My dad's raced there multiple times, but I have yet to be there because Cup Karts North America is always the weekend after, and so I focus all my attention to that weekend because being at the racetrack back-to-back weekends is very tough for me. So, but you've never road raced.
I've never road raced. I've been to Pittsburgh, but we never road raced. When was that? 2017. We went to Pittsburgh for. Yeah,
I was probably there. I was probably there with you covering the Man Cup that year. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking Minnesota. Brainerd would probably be about the only road course in Minnesota, right?
And
freaking road
not
courses.
Not a lot of karting events.
No,
there.
They did back in the early 80s, way before you were born, and I was very little. But in the past, they did it there. Road America would probably be the closest one to you then, and we don't go there.
No.
Blackhawk maybe would probably be. Oh, there's some in Iowa and there's some in Nebraska that do host some karting events. So I guess that's it. So yeah, you'd have to haul to make a road race.
Yeah, it'll be a bit far. I mean, for me, I know. Obviously, we've seen at WK, at Daytona Kart Week, them racing, and
Mhm.
at Charlotte the first year we came back. We were there in 2019, but never road raced. Speaking of Pittsburgh, I mean, I've never seen cars on there. I've seen bikes when Moto America
Oh, yeah.
came to test there in
Yeah.
2017, and seeing them come over. It's right by the end of the paddock. There's an
Mhm.
uphill left-hand crest, and it comes down. So you see them wheelie come off of there, and obviously it's going to be a bit less. Just seeing that, it looks like a ton of fun, and I've seen onboards from that track, and it just looks incredible.
So would you, out of those 6 tracks, would you put Pittsburgh as number 1 if you were to have a free ride, do whatever, would Pittsburgh be the one racetrack you'd want to get on there?
See, I am, as you know, a bit of a sports car nut, so Daytona absolutely has to be the one that I would want to try.
Well, see, there you go. You should be doing the Ignite program, the Margay Ignite program, Dash at Daytona this Christmas break. Why are you not doing this? We need to get this hooked up, because then you can do the Man Cup one day, and then you can go road race the next. And I will say, in
dirt
a
race
Briggs,
at night, screw it.
Yeah, or dirt race, even a dirt race at night. That'd probably be even better. That's still the one thing I want to do. I've yet to hear anybody do all 3 events in one event, or all 3 race programs at one event. You got to do the sprint, you got to do the dirt, and you got to road race. I know of people who have done sprint and they've done dirt. I know people who have done dirt and done road race. I know people who have done sprint and road race, but I have not heard of anybody to do all 3 at the same time.
Well, maybe someone this year will.
Like who?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a secret. I thought you were telling me.
No, that was
okay.
All right. Who knows?
You're teasing me there. All right. Yeah. So that's my goal. I know I think my dad wants to go down there next year. No, it'll be 2024. I think that's the year he wants to go down there. So I probably have about 2 years to figure out how I can do that. I think the dirt one, I just need to rent a ride, get somebody, one of the chassis manufacturers there, just hop in and go. And I'll be just cruising around. I mean, that dirt stuff is it's like a different language to me. I don't understand. I love it. I love watching the dirt guys. It's just a completely different ball game for me. Road race, I think I'd want to do something in a tag. I think Briggs is not enough, because I've done Daytona twice. I did a 96 and I did a 98. It was in a Yamaha Sprinter, and tag's very similar to that, except you're breaking a lot of wind in the sit up compared to the sprint enduro karts that I used to run. So I think I'd want to do a tag there. And then obviously if Ignite Dash at Daytona is still going on, that would be my focus on the sprint side of things. So almost 3 arrive and drives essentially, because Margay does a great job with their arrive and drives for Ignite. There's got to be somebody who does them with dirt, and I could just grab my dad's cart and go make some laps in a road race. So, so essentially that it wouldn't be easy. It would just be trying to get everything timed out perfectly right to be able to do all 3. So that's my challenge. So Daytona is number 1. I got to assume then Mid-Ohio would be number 2 for you.
Mid-Ohio would be fun. I've only done laps on iRacing, and it always just brings out the worst in me in terms of rage.
It's because
it's a challenging course.
It's in my top 3. I'll say that. I have Road America, Mid-Ohio, and Grattan, which is nearby here. Those are my top 3. And everybody says that Pittsburgh is way better than Mid-Ohio. So that's where my dilemma is. I've never driven Pittsburgh. I understand it. I've seen it. I've been around it, but I haven't raced it. And until you race a racetrack, you really don't know what it provides or what thrill you get from the racetrack itself.
Yeah.
Until you're out there. So I would probably right now, just the way I look at things, I would go Pittsburgh, Mid-Ohio, Daytona. But Carolina and Roebling Road, those are ones I've never done. Along with New Jersey, they're updating New Jersey as well too right now. So they're making some changes to that road course as well too. So that one's actually a unique one as well. It's more of an Autobahn or something similar to that. So, but again, just top 3: Daytona, Mid-Ohio, Pittsburgh. Those would be my bucket list ones for sure.
Yeah.
In terms of another, what's that?
I'd agree with you on that.
All right. In terms of another bucket list event, this CRG announced the date for the 23 edition of 24 Hours Karting of Italy. It's a 24-hour event in rental karts. It's a very unique event that it will be held March 25th to the 26th at the 7 Leghi Kart International Circuit in Italy. I'm not even going to say Castelletto.
Castelletto
Yeah,
sounds right.
Yeah. I'm terrible with names. Everybody should know this by now if you're into our over 300 episodes of EKN podcasts. But this event is unique. It's, again, there's not a lot of 24-hour events in the world, let alone here in the United States. But here you get to go be part of in CRG Rental Karts with the CRG Factory program, 24 hours nonstop racing. We've talked to Scott Skitchy Barnes from Bermuda, who's gone and done this event, and a couple of others who have been there. This is something that is unique and obviously a thrill to do. And then why not go to Italy to race for 24 hours in a kart? Is that ever a goal? Is that a bucket list item for you to hit a 24-hour event in karting?
I really want to. My friends and I from Minnesota have talked about it, but I know there was a series, and the name escapes me, that did endurance racing. And there was a 24-hour at Newcastle that kind of like sparked our interest in it, and then
endurance
COVID
karting,
kind of
I believe.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
So then COVID kind of put a shutdown on that, but I think it's on our bucket lists of doing at least some sort of enduro, whether it be 8, 12, or 24. Sometime we'd love to do that.
Well, yeah. So you guys just need to hit the lottery, get some plane tickets. Well, I mean, I guess if you hit the lottery, you can just buy a plane and take your buddies over and go to Italy, right?
Why not?
Yeah, I know the Simcraft, that one has stepped away for a little bit. I can see in the future though that'll be returning, because again, you got the Machismo going on this weekend at Cal Speed, which will be the last official event at Cal Speed Karting outside the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. So that's a 12-hour event. I almost think I'd like to do a 12-hour just to understand what my capabilities are after 12 hours of being, because again, it's not straight up, but it's just a lot of stints. And that's something that, for not being in the kart for more than once a year, that's a lot to take on. But for guys who are in the seat regularly, that it's got to be like, no different than the guys doing 24 hours of Daytona that are in IndyCar, NASCAR, or just your regular sports car racers. It's just, I got to think it's the only hurdle is trying to find sleep.
Yeah, that's probably the big thing. Buy a cot or some nice fluffy pillows at a store before you get there.
Well, an RV is good too. If you can get an RV, that's probably the best. So this will take us into our last commercial break as we wrap up another edition of This Week in Karting. We'll continue with a complete wrap up of the show and give you some more details in terms of EKN editorial, podcasts, and EKN radio network as well. So more when we return.
Wins in the sport's biggest races and championships in national and regional series all over the country, they're all on Nitro Kart's growing resume. Nitro Kart continues to make its statement as the best, fastest, and winningest cadet chassis on the American market. In 2021, Nitro Kart won the 3 biggest crowns in America in the Micro Swift division, with Mateo Rosu in the SCUSA Pro Tour and both the Super Nationals and the USPKS titles with Keelan Harvick. At the Super Nats alone, 3 of the top 5 drivers on the podium got there on a Nitro Kart. The results are clear. If you want to win in cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join our team. At Nitro Kart, we're all about driver development. Nick Tucker and the Nitro Crew's racing resumes are extensive, and their passion for helping our kids learn is unparalleled. Racing is about consistent learning, and that's what we're all about here at Nitro Kart. Never wanting to quit, we've continued to extend the reach of our driver development program. In addition to expanding into the junior and senior karting categories, we've also launched Nitro Motorsports, which will field 2 cars this season in the Trans Am by Pirelli series, one being piloted by karting champion Brent Cruz. Not only can we develop your young driver, but we can also provide the platform if a move to cars is in your plan. And our second seat is available. If you're serious about your driver's career, contact us today.
For over 20 years, Greg Bell has been building race-winning power for kart racers. One need only look at his team, Leading Edge Motorsports. He's always built engines for his team, and the results have been wins at the biggest races in America, the SCUSA Super Nationals and the Rock Vegas events. The name on this program? Mega Power. This year alone, Bell and Danny Formel teamed up to sweep the Rock Shifter class on the Florida Winter Tour, all on a Mega Power engine. If you want to win shifter kart races, it's time to put Mega Power on your kart. Mega Power specializes in gearbox engines, such as the TMKZ, Rock Shifter, and IME Shifter, but with almost 3 decades of engine building experience, Bell develops winning motors for X30 and Mini Swift and everything in between. The combination of Greg Bell's engine building skills and his chassis tuning knowledge is a potent mixture. Greg's helped catapult many drivers to wins over the years, including Mercedes F1 star George Russell, who won the Supernats 14 in 2011 with Leading Edge Motorsports. Increase your odds of winning at this year's Rock Vegas or Super National events or throughout 2023 by calling Greg Bell today at 209-747-2613 to put Mega Power in your corner. Need race fuel or oil? Hyperfuels is an authorized distributor for several of the brands that are spec fluids in American karting, including ELF and Aspen Sport. They also stock and ship methanol. Hyperfuels has a web store that can take your orders 24/7, and they ship UPS. That's right, Hyperfuels can ship fuel and oil right to your door. Whether you need ELF Racing Fuels or ELF ATX 909 oil, or Aspen Sport 98 octane fuel for SCUSA competition, they have it in stock. When you need it now, go to hyperfuels.com.
Welcome back to the final segment of This Week in Karting, episode number 54, December 7th, 2022. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean. As we wrap up this episode, we'll talk a little bit about ECAN editorial. We only had a couple of things hit the website that was original content in terms of over the last week. One of them being two columns. The first, Making History, the Kellys Take on the Park, a great column by Tiffany Kelly, who started her segment or her series, column series just before Super Nationals about making the start in karting and going all in on it. And they certainly did by going to Quincy Grand Prix, which unfortunately, as we talked about in the last This Week in Karting episode, will not return for 2023 or beyond. But she provides her take on Quincy in the park. And it was a great little piece to kind of talk about what it meant to race there and how crazy it is to race there. And then the next one was a Begin Again by R.K. Seiler. Closer Than You Think. It's kind of his look at going to the IndyCar race at Mid-Ohio. Again, one of my favorite sports car race, my favorite road courses in North America. And got to ride in the 2-seater and just really talk about how close even though the money is a lot different in the IndyCar paddock, but how similar it is to the karting in terms of camaraderie and how in the atmosphere in that. So it was a really good read, and we'll have more from RK Seiler in the future. He's got a couple more topics to hit on that he'll be doing over the next couple of months. So excited to read those in the future. Nate, have you ever been to an IndyCar race? I know I've only been to one. That was Milwaukee Mile a long time ago. What about you?
The latest thing I've been to was test day at Indianapolis in 2017. But before that, I can't give you exact years. It's probably around 2005, 2006 when they went to Chicagoland. I know we went to one of those races when it was on a NASCAR weekend, but other than that, I haven't, in the modern age of IndyCar, modern in quotes, I haven't been.
So the IRL days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Chicagoland. Yeah. Oval, that oval would bore me. Milwaukee was pretty exciting because you got to drive that track. what do you remember about Chicagoland and the Indy cars?
I was 5. There's not a lot that I remember.
Any good photos? Any good
No.
photos? No. Okay.
No, I do remember us being a little marveled and a little in awe of this concept called push to pass. But other than that, no.
All right. Let's add, E10's got the push to pass. That'll be good. EKN podcast reviews. So again, available on all podcast outlets: Spotify, Podbean, Google Play, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcasts. Make sure you download them and subscribe. Give us a review. The last episode of This Week in Karting, episode 53, is available for download, along with the audio version of the face-to-face episode 61, featuring Mike Burrell, the new director of operations for Rock Cup USA. Mike is an interesting character. He's great. Got that different outlook in terms of the sport. Again, he comes in as a racer, a journalist, industry member, a promoter. So he's got all different aspects of the sport kind of on his belt. And it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do with Rock Cup USA. Again, the main focus of that show, he said, you know what, I'm just here to kind of make sure the ship steers a direct way. They got a lot of great people around the program, and just kind of fine tuning it as they get through the 2023 season and kind of look to the future for that program. So a great show. So make sure you download that. EKN Radio Network, the only 24-hour, 7 days a week channel for karting, the karting radio station in the world, the only karting radio station in the world. I got to slow down. I told Rob he talks too fast. I got to do that too.
Bit of a tongue for that though.
Yeah. This episode of This Week in Karting will be on the EKN Radio Network tomorrow. So we'll have that playing. We'll also have some more face-to-face shows upcoming, along with it. We'll continue to do the This Week in Karting episodes. Right now we have the last year's Superkarts USA Winter Series event. We just played Challenge in the Americas from Tucson yesterday. So again, more rewinds from past events we've been to that'll be playing on the EKN Radio Network. What's coming up on EKN? Again, trackside will be January 13th through the 15th, Superkarts USA Winter Series, AMR Motorplex in Homestead, Florida. Nate, that'll be your first trip to Homestead, I believe, and your first trip for 2023 season.
Correct. Yeah.
So again, interesting place to go to. 90s, 180s. It's really easy racetrack to follow, but a lot of different places to take images and do videos. So it'll be great for you to get down there. And the sun, when it's out, it's amazing. It's a great break from the cold northern weather that we have going on right now. There's no snow here. Do you got snow right now? You don't even know. You haven't been outside in days. This is bad. We keep them locked away in a bunker. This is sad. You had to open the door up to the bunker to be able to see. And then my first trip for 2023 will be trackside for Challenge of the Americas, February 3rd through the 5th, Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. Excited to get back to the Challenge of the Americas. So again, follow us on social media. Again, download us, get the EKN Radio Network app, and again, any last words, Nate, as we let you out of the bunker for the day?
No.
That was awesome. You got to know what's going on. You at least every morning you got to wake up and look out the window to understand what the weather at least is doing. Okay.
I mean, it's just so bright, and not like it's just like winter gets so bright with all the snow. So it's just you look outside and it's just kind of white and bare trees. Yeah,
people don't understand why I wear sunglasses in the winter. I'm like, the snow is bright. I mean, it's all white. My eyes are sensitive. Leave me alone. All right. So with that, we will wrap up this edition of This Week in Karting, episode number 54. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For Nate Dean and for myself, David Cole, thank you. And until next time.